When you need to make a turn, signal your intentions. Signaling what you intend to do is important for safety. Here are some general rules for signaling. Now, when it comes to turning, there are three good rules for using turn signals: signal early, signal continuously, and cancel your turn signal. Signal well before you turn. It is the best way to keep others from trying to pass you. You need both hands on the wheel to turn safely. Don't cancel the signal until you have completed the turn. Don't forget to also turn your signal off after you've completed the turn if you don't have self-canceling signals. Which of these statements about marking a stopped vehicle is true? When parked at the side of a road. When you pull off the road and stop, be sure to turn on the four-way emergency flashers. This is important at night. Don't trust the taillights to give warning. Drivers have crashed into the rear of a parked vehicle because they thought it was moving normally. If you must stop on a road or the shoulder of any road, you must put out your emergency warning devices within 10 minutes. Place your warning devices at the following locations. If you stop on a two-lane road carrying traffic in both directions or on an undivided highway, place warning devices within 10 feet of the front or rear corners to mark the location of the vehicle, and 100 feet behind and ahead of the vehicle on the shoulder or in the lane you stopped in. So how do we handle back behind any hill, curve, or other obstruction that prevents other drivers from seeing the vehicle within 500 feet? If you must stop on or by a one-way or divided highway, place warning devices 10 feet, 100 feet, and 200 feet toward the approaching traffic. When putting out the triangles, hold them between yourself and the oncoming traffic for your own safety. You should use your horn when only use your horn when needed. Your horn can let others know you're there. It can also help to avoid a crash. Use your horn when needed. However, it can startle others and could be dangerous when used unnecessarily. You are driving a 40-foot vehicle at 35 miles an hour. The road is dry and visibility is good. What is the least amount of space that you should keep in front of your vehicle to be safe? Speed and stopping distance. There are three things that add up to the total stopping distance. This is perception distance plus your reaction distance plus your braking distance is going to equal your total stopping distance. So, what is perception distance? This is the distance your vehicle travels from the time your eyes see a hazard until your brain recognizes it. The perception time for an alert driver is about 3/4 of a second. If you're going 55 miles an hour, you're going to travel 60 feet in that 3/4 second. Next is going to come the reaction distance. The distance traveled from the time your brain tells your foot to move from the accelerator until your foot is actually pushing the brake pedal. The average driver has a reaction time of 3/4 second. This accounts for an additional 60 feet traveled at 55 miles an hour. Now your final variable is going to be the braking distance. The distance it takes to stop once the brakes are put on. Traveling 55 miles an hour on dry pavement with good brakes, it can take a heavy vehicle about 170 feet to stop. It takes about 4.5 seconds. All of that put together, that's going to be our total stopping distance. At 55 miles an hour, it'll take about 6 seconds to stop, and your vehicle will travel about the distance of a football field. Whenever you double your speed, it takes about the effects of speed on stopping distance. Whenever you double your speed, it takes about 4 times as much distance to stop. and your vehicle will have about 4 times the destructive power if it crashes. High speeds increase stopping distance greatly. By slowing down a little, you can gain a lot and reduce braking distance. Whenever you are driving on a snow-packed road, you should reduce your speed by at least. Slippery surfaces. It will take longer to stop and it will be harder to turn without skidding when the road is slippery. You must drive slower to be able to stop in the same distance as on a dry road. Wet roads can double stopping distance. Reduce your speed by about 1/3. On packed snow, reduce speed by about a half or possibly even more. If the surface is icy, reduce speed to a crawl and stop driving as soon as you can. What two things can happen if you take a curve too fast? Speed and curves. Drivers must adjust their speed for curves in the road. If you take a curve too fast, two things can happen. The tires can lose their traction and continue straight ahead, so you skid off the road. Or the tires may keep their traction and the vehicle rolls over. Tests have shown that trucks with a high center of gravity can roll over at the posted speed limit for a curve. Slow to a safe speed before you enter a curve. Braking in a curve is dangerous because it is easier to lock the wheels and can cause a skid. Slow down as needed. Don't ever exceed the posted speed limit for the curve. Be in a gear that will let you accelerate slightly in the curve. This will help you keep control. When traveling next to others, what's one of the dangers? Traveling next to others. So there's two dangers in traveling alongside other vehicles. Other drivers may change lanes suddenly and turn into you. You may be trapped when you need to change lanes. Find an open spot where you aren't near other traffic. When traffic is heavy, it may be hard to find an open spot. If you must travel near other vehicles, try to keep as much space as possible between you and them. Also, drop back or pull forward so that you can assure the other driver can see you. Which of these statements about driving in areas with strong winds is true? Which vehicle will have the most difficulty staying in its lane during strong winds? Strong winds. Strong winds make it difficult to stay in your lane. The problem is usually worse for lighter vehicles. This problem can be especially bad coming out of tunnels. Don't drive alongside others if you can avoid it. An empty double trailer has the most difficulty staying in its lane during strong winds. Which of these is true about your overhead clearance? Space overhead. The weight of a cargo van changes its height. An empty van is higher than a loaded one. Just because you got under a bridge when you were loaded does not mean that you can whenever you're empty. What should you do if you're not sure whether you have enough overhead clearance? Overhead clearance. If you doubt you have safe space to pass under an object, go slowly. If you aren't sure you can make it, take another route. Warnings are often posted on low bridges or underpasses, but sometimes they're not. If you must cross into the oncoming lane as you make a turn, you should. Needing space for turns. The space around a truck or a bus is important in turns. Because of wide turning and off tracking, large vehicles can hit other vehicles or objects during their turns. If you must cross into the oncoming lane to make a turn, watch out for vehicles coming towards you. Give them room to go by or to stop. However, don't back up for them because you might hit someone behind you.